Hey, Brian. Oh,
Hey,
hey, Brian. Hey, sweetie, on those backs that you sent out, I think your numbering was off, but it doesn't matter. I just was gonna tell you. I'll just
Oh.
fix it. That thing, do you know what I'm talking about? You didn't change anything, right? I was gonna look at the old agenda and the one.
Oh, the agenda. Oh, yeah. No, done needed one change to it because I forgot to. I left public comment off, so it added a line item. Everything else got moved down.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, make sure you're looking at the agenda that has a public comment. Let's see.
Listen, if it's only the public comment, I can figure out the math.
Okay. Yeah, it's just by one. Public comment is item 6. New item 6.
Okay. All right, so these are all 8s. Oh my God. Okay. That's good. Do you know if Jesse got his paperwork in?
Jesse Porter?
Yeah.
I mean, he still should. He did his paperwork last year.
No, on that report that they sent out, he was missing one of the ones. He was missing ethics or.
Yeah, but they don't update that very frequently. I mean, mine was left blank for, I think, 8 months.
Okay, but I'm not looking at the website. I'm looking at the report that they sent to us.
I haven't seen that. Or rather specifically what you're saying. We're talking about done, right?
Yeah, we are.
All right. Let's see.
Chaos is unleashed in the world. I wonder where I put it. Well, I guess we can just ask him.
I hope so, because he's been voting on financial matters and everything.
Well, it was only one of the 3.
I mean, he's only been on the board for 1.5 years, so if he did it back then, it'll still be current.
I'm just wondering if it was ever done, but I'm gonna look and see.
Oh yeah, I see it. That's the same data they're pulling from their own site that they still don't update either.
So I don't worry about it.
I wouldn't worry about it. We can still ask them, but I wouldn't worry about it.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Chaos, and you know, it's been a stressful couple weeks.
That's that. Oh, the other thing that wasn't hot linked was the minutes.
Oh, don't want to swear on Zoom recording.
So is there a way to post them on this?
Yeah. Right? Maybe not.
I don't know. That would not be my forte.
There's a way. I mean, we can put it in the Q&A.
All right, meeting minutes. Let me just pull them up and see. I'm looking for draft for May, I believe, correct? In the Q&A, so I can't ask a question.
You can't?
It's not letting me.
Oh, you know what? I think only an attendee
can ask a question.
Can ask a question.
Well, I mean, I can quickly shoot them out to the board, but the public might want them.
Yes.
I think, did I hot link them? I think I hot linked them already.
What, the minutes?
The minutes when I sent them out as a draft. Or did I attach them?
Hot link, I don't know, but you did send it to the board. I know that. In fact, here they are. I just found them.
On your email?
Yeah.
Okay.
I still have tabs open from when I made the agenda, which is not a good thing to do.
All of a sudden, I need a really big screen all of a sudden. Okay, but that's as an attachment. So that's the stakeholders can't view that though, right?
No, but I can probably make it so that they can.
Okay. Are you doing that?
I'm doing something.
Are you doing that, or should I do it?
What I was going to do, I was going to throw it up on see if I can throw it up on the latest post on the website.
Oh, okay.
Because then we can just say like, hey, just go to the
website to see it.
Go to the front page.
Okay, that's good.
I don't know. That's the solution I had.
That works. That works. I'll wait for them to see it.
I don't know the best way to actually upload photos though to this. Oh, PDF 1. All right. Let's see if that works. I haven't done this before. Save changes. Okay, let's see what that did. More. Sometimes it takes a while to process stuff too. Just a couple minutes. Do
you think you have it like right on the main page?
Well, it would be when you hit read more, it should. Oh, hey, okay, yes, it did it.
Yeah.
Look, go to, let's see if it did it on the front page. I don't know if it did. Okay, so it didn't do it on the front page, but if you click read more on the latest post, this is a very roundabout way of doing this. Right before the second picture, it says download draft May 2020 board meeting minutes. I click on that and they pop up.
Oh.
It's a little roundabout. I can probably make it better now that it's uploaded.
Yeah, no, the download draft 20 board meetings. No, it's good. It's there.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily want to explain that every time.
No, but it will just be there right off the bat.
Yeah, I'm just gonna make a link to it on the top too. Just so we have
I'm
it.
just so exhausted right now. I hope I can think clearly.
I know, I'm so oh my God.
Do we know if we're going to have Adam Summer?
Hold on, I gotta let people in. I don't know. I haven't heard from him.
So we have 16. So we need 10 for bylaws, 10 for a change, right? 10.
Okay, I just let a couple more in.
Are we expecting a full quorum?
I would imagine. Hold on. I got to promote more people. There we go. All right. Hey, Nancy.
You.
So now on the front page, right underneath the meeting graphic, there's a bigger link for it.
Okay. You're perfect.
That's better. Just so people
Yeah,
can see it.
Yeah, it's bigger.
All right, let's see. Here we go.
Better.
Let more people in here.
Hi, good evening.
All right, we're gonna do. Okay, that's everyone so far. Oh, there's Lisa. Oh, here's our quorum right here.
Wait,
Yeah.
Do you know who's does anyone know whose phone number ends in 008? Is that a board member? Just not good at IDing it from.
No idea. Hi, Lisa.
hi everyone. Hi.
Hey, Lisa.
Hi. We missed you. Where have you been?
008 Mike,
Healing the
be
world.
Richard Adams.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, Richard, I can't, because your phone number, I can't promote you to a panelist, but I can allow you to talk. So,
Hey, say that again.
because you're a phone number right now, it won't let me promote you to a panelist, but I still allowed you to talk.
Okay, that's what we did last time, and
Oh, is that
probably
okay?
this time I'm also the only one with a timer.
Sounds good. All right, promote. Yeah, we're just gonna.
Yeah,
More
as I
minutes
said
here,
before,
so
I'm not going to download this malware.
Sounds good.
Ooh, good idea.
Let's see.
There's no camera on the PC anyway, so.
Sure, you won't know the difference. All right, here's Joseph. 1 second.
And let me join in with a hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Greetings.
All right, so we got 11.
Mira will come momentarily.
Yeah, they're all coming in now. So.
There's good sound.
Rick, is that Rick Rosner? Can you change your name so I know who that Rick is?
Hi, guys.
Hi, Alex. How are you?
Alex?
Had a question.
No, but I wish I was.
Stop it.
I had a question, Brian. Last meeting, I noted that you had to unlock people's on the panel in order for them to speak. Is that something that we can, did we change that now that, just sort of to kind of mirror what we have on the board? Granted, no one's just, but
I don't. Yeah, I don't know where that setting is. It seemed because I matched.
I muted myself just now, so maybe.
Oh, you did. Okay. I mean, maybe it sorted itself out. Hopefully.
It's
Yeah.
helpful
My
if you're not talking.
last
to me.
month I was able to just dial in and it took me.
Yeah.
Last month, I could just, all you had to do was unmute me. This month, it told me I needed a attendee ID or I'd be muted permanently. So that's something that needs to be looked at and unscrewed.
My last point is, obviously we should all mute because of the acoustics and whatnot, but that's good to know that we can unmute to pipe in, that's all.
Yeah, but if we're all muted, those of us that don't have a camera can't wave our hands to get attention.
I think you can raise your hand though. I think with what is it, star?
I can see your hand, Richard.
I'm calling on the house phone. It's not a cell phone. It's not a computer. It's installed Zoom with a camera. They may have created an avatar for me, but I know nothing about it.
Hold on. I'm gonna let this Rick talk real quick. Hey, Rick, is that Rosner, Rick? I was muted. Oh, do I have to, Randy? I see you trying to talk. Are you able to unmute?
Okay. All right. You can hear me.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just going to say, Richard, if you want to raise your hand so we know you have a comment, you can actually push *9 on your phone. That will raise your hand. And then *9 if you want to lower your hand.
*9 to raise it and *9 again to lower it?
You got it.
Okay, I can do that.
All right. This list is long. It's hard to scroll and find people we're looking for.
I have for land use, my motions applicant will be joining us around 8 p.m. His phone number starts with an 801 to let him in if he needs to comment. To whom should I give this information to?
I guess it's who's ever the next president or secretary.
Okay.
Brian, can you see Mira? Because she's either waiting or.
Is she?
Yeah.
Oh, there she is. Okay. Yes. Thank you for letting me know. Good. So that's 13. 3 more gives us a perfect set.
Alexa's on.
Alexa's on. Okay. Computer's so slow right now. Oh, there she is. All right. She's joining. All right. Well, what do you say we go ahead and get started? We're still missing 3 people from the room. If anyone sees them come in, if you could let me know, and I will let them in. So with that said, let's do the roll. Let's call the meeting to order 7:06.
Okay, can everybody please unmute? Richard Adams. I know you're there somewhere, Richard. Richard Adams.
Here?
Brian Carroll.
Here.
Michael DeLazar.
Here.
Randall Freed.
Here.
Alex Zabisky.
Here.
Mira Kaplan.
Here.
Raduga Kaplan.
Here.
Lisa Karajian.
Here.
Nancy Kramer here. Richard Niederberg.
Here.
Jesse Porter.
I feel like he's coming, but he.
Okay. Rick Rosner.
Here.
Lana Shackelford.
Here.
Alexa Steinberg.
Here.
Adam Summer.
And I haven't heard from him either.
Okay. Joseph Tishy.
Present.
Okay, we have quorum.
Okay, great. Okay, so about the minutes, I did forget to link them to the agenda. They were sent out by Nancy last month. And I just put up a link to them on our front page. So in the latest post, right underneath the picture, if people agree that we should vote on this now, or if you want to push it till next month.
We can put it,
I say push it to next month. Nobody had a chance to look at them, including stakeholders.
Okay.
Jesse Porter is standing by.
Yeah, my computer's running real hot and real slow. So one sec, Jesse, I'm coming to get you. Oh, this is infuriating. Could I assign, just really quick, Nancy, can I assign you as a co-host?
Can you assign someone else? Because I've got my hands full.
Yeah, that's fine.
take
Can someone else
hands
be a co-host just to keep an eye on people coming in?
Michael, you'd be good.
I'll do it. Fine.
Hold on one sec. Small pause. This button wants to respond to me. Apologies, everyone. Just having a little bit of
Alexa, how's the weather at the beach?
All right, Michael, I just made you co-host.
Jesse should be coming in a second.
Okay, great. All right, for number 2, we're gonna move on to the update by me. Is any public comment on this? Trying to see. Richard Adams, your hand is up, and it's the only one up right now.
Oh, I put that up a minute ago when they were calling the roll.
Oh, okay.
And no, I don't have any public comment.
Okay, great. One second, just trying to get this. So, just want to say a couple things. So tonight is when we're going to be electing new officers and appointing new committee chairs. So our bylaws state that we do this yearly, and it's usually a good time to kind of reassess the direction of the neighborhood council and maybe pick a new direction, maybe grow some things, retool others. So I just want to thank you all for the past year, for allowing me to serve as your president. This job is incredibly rewarding. It's also incredibly frustrating at times. But above all, it has been a true honor to serve this council for the last year as your president. So my final role tonight, besides just being a normal board member, I will help the transition as smoothly as I can. But I will also preside over this next motion to elect our new president. And after that, that person will take on the rest of the meeting and the responsibilities. So I just want to close by saying thank you for the continued privilege of being able to serve the people of Studio City. I'm a little bit emotional. It's a big deal for me, but I do thank you for the honor of this. And with that said, I'd like to move on to item number 3, and nominations for the next president.
Are we taking nominations now?
Yeah, take nominations. Anyone can say.
I would then nominate Randy Freed for president.
Right.
Second.
Any other nominees?
I'd like to make a comment on possible nominations if they'll take it.
Go ahead.
Being president, as Brian found out and others have found out in the past, is a lot of work, even if you're prepped and know the system. I would politely suggest we consider, if they will take the honor, one of the other board members who has time with the system and knows how it works. That would be, in no order of preference, Mr. Isbicki, Ms. Karajian, or Ms. Lana. And if they don't want it, I don't blame them.
thank you so much, but I'll have to pass.
I also respectfully decline.
As exciting as it may be to have an adventure that Brian and many before him have had, I too will decline this generous recognition. Thank you. Maybe in the years to come, if it might be considered, maybe there would be another opportunity for me, but at this time, I will decline. Thank you.
One point of order.
Yes.
Are we supposed to take public comment first, or non-related to agenda?
The way I'm just going by the model that we did last year. We put public comment once there's a new administration.
Thank you.
Yeah, we didn't have general comments on the agenda here. I just noticed.
Yeah, so there was a revised agenda that went out that's been posted and the rest of it. So just make sure that whatever agenda we're using today does have number 6 is public comments on non-agenda board items.
Number 6, elected official government representative reports.
Right, and I'm saying that a revised agenda went out.
Okay, my bad.
There's a new item 6 and everything else got pushed down.
Got you.
Yep. So with no other nominations, Randy Freed, without objection, our new president.
Yay.
Thank you very much. Wow. Okay.
I abstain.
Okay. Wow. Well, so first, I guess so. Comments from new president Brian. I just want to say first, thank you. I know through numerous conversations we've had that it's always more work than likely than later in the night to deal with neighborhood council business. It's always disheartening sometimes to have motives questioned. I understand that. I know your heart has been in it, so I thank you for that, and I look forward to continuing to work with you as a board member. Comments that I would make additionally to the rest of the board is I think that hopefully there is the direction in terms of kind of continuing some amazing energy that came out of this board during the period of the pandemic. During the pandemic, we saw town hall meetings come together at the last minute. We saw a subset of the board coming together and saying, what can we do now? How can we mobilize from getting a huge list of volunteers with Neighbors Helping Neighbors, with Brian and Alexa, and managing a mountain of volunteers with Nancy and Michael DeLazar and others in the background. It's pretty amazing. That was done. Social media started to become more active again. We had through public safety, the Feed Folks initiative of bringing local food to local people, which also did some amazing work in donating food to first responders and those in need, and kind of put SCNC back in action, if you will. And I only hope that in the coming year we all can find ways to work together and improve on those works, and also just because it's the sign of the times that we find ourselves in, I hope we can include. There are 37 people that are attendees. I hope all of you will join us in this work of making our community better and seeing the change we want to see in our city. The more of you that join us makes our voice that much louder. So it's an open invitation and a refrain you'll hear from me often, at least for the next year anyway. And so, okay, with that, we have, I think, the election of the remaining board officers. Oh, and also, Brian, thank you in advance. And Nancy and everyone else, should I have a question as we go through this? I will fully admit that there's nothing wrong with saying you don't know something and asking for help. So, so that may very well be me. I'm sure at times. So, without objection, moving forward to agenda item number 5, we have the election of the remaining board officers. So I want to open up for nominations for vice president.
I'd nominate Nancy.
Verduca?
I nominate Michael DeLazar, sorry.
Any other nominations? Okay, so then I guess we should bring this to a vote. All of those wishing to vote for Nancy as Vice President, please raise your hand. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, I think. And for, do I vote in this? I do, right? So Michael Nola's in favor of Michael DeLazar as Vice President. I mean, I would vote for everyone too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so then Nancy, if you don't object, you'll be the next Vice President.
You know, you didn't have us say anything, but as long as somebody steps up to be secretary, that's all I'm saying. Okay.
Good. So I second Nancy's sentiment. So congratulations, Nancy. Treasurer, we'll open the nominations for treasurer.
I nominate Rick.
I'm happy to keep doing it.
Okay, Brian.
I second Rick's nomination.
Thank you.
Second Rick's nomination. Okay, so anyone else willing to take the job? I want to say that I give Rick a lot of, I'll be the first to admit I was perhaps a harsh critic of Rick, but I also recognize he has plowed through and pushed forward and also volunteered, which says a lot. So with that, any other nominations? Anyone else want to jump into the mix?
Point of order.
Yes.
Who nominated Rick? Was it Richard?
Richard Niederberg
Thank
nominated
you.
Rick
Thank you.
Rosner and Brian Carroll seconded the nomination. Okay, then I guess without objection, Rick, if you'll sign up for another year of EACs, et cetera, and a good amount of regular work.
Sure.
Welcome aboard again.
Thank you.
So now for the ever important job of recording secretary, nominations for recording secretary. I nominate Alexa.
I'll second.
Hey, third.
Any other nominations?
Point of order. Who did the nomination?
I did the nomination. Michael DeLazar seconded. I even heard a third, I think, from Richard Niederberg. So Alexa, if you'll have us, we'll have you as the recording secretary.
Yeah.
Are you starting now?
Do you want me to?
Right? I think you're in the hot seat.
Clearly I am.
Clearly, I'm muting now.
Well,
It's like, no, take the night off.
well, I mean, thank you. And the final nomination for officer is corresponding secretary. Bueller? No, any nominations?
I'll be recording instead of reporting. I'll be reporting instead of recording. Oh, look, Nancy doesn't like that. I'll go back to my old job.
I think you're well-rounded enough to do both jobs.
Oh.
Oh, thanks,
Right.
Lisa.
Why don't any nominations? Anyone want to volunteer for the job?
I could probably do it.
Okay, sold. I'd like to nominate Michael DeLazar.
I second the nomination.
Anyone else? Okay, so without objection, then Michael DeLazar is the recording secretary or corresponding secretary.
Oh, that's exciting.
I think it is. So does anyone want to say anything now that you're in these new spots?
Congratulations to everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you for those who've been nominated. Thank you for accepting it. It says a lot to volunteer for unpaid work. That might sound like a joke, but actually it's serious. I know the community appreciates it. And next is appointment of secondary signer to the treasurer, which I think is a, oh, we're not there yet, the motion.
I'm willing to do it again.
Okay, any
Yeah,
objections?
by the way, there's a little auditing going on. It's not just second signing. You got to actually check it first before you sign it.
I'm sorry, you cut out on the last part of your comment, but I think it was funny.
I'm just saying there's a little bit of auditing along the way to make sure that it reflects what actually happened at the meeting. It's not just signing it off.
Okay, right. Sure, Richard, if you would do it, that would be great. Thank you for volunteering. As it relates to reestablishing committees and committee chairs, I think that, and I see now, amazingly, we have 54 people here, and actually I see that there is or 39 people in attendees, and someone has a hand up. Oh, Eric Pevin. So just a question, Nancy, Brian, point of order question. We continue through this process and then public comment, is that correct?
Yeah, you need to do the CIS people.
Yes, so.
Yeah,
okay,
do all
so
this before public comment, yes.
Thank you. So as it relates to reestablishing committees, certainly without objection, I'd like to reestablish all of the existing committees that we have. As it relates to committee chair, however, after reviewing the bylaws and talking to Gibson, our representative from Dunn, I honestly would like an opportunity to talk to the chairs. I think that some of our chairs are doing great, and some of our chairs, I think, I have questions about, and rather than go through a process that could potentially be less than flattering, although it's just my opinion, I would prefer to delay to the next meeting so I have an opportunity to talk to the existing committee chairs, and as well, frankly, of the 39 people that are in attendance, invite them to send an email to the board and say if you're interested in being in a committee, if you're interested in whether it's government affairs or it's land use or it's homelessness or it's sustainability or it's every committee. It doesn't mean that every committee chair is being replaced, but I would love to see, I think we would all love to see more participation from our stakeholders. We were amazed that so many of you perhaps listening and some of you not, that joined us in volunteering during this pandemic. So we know that there is a willingness to help. So I would just ask, hopefully, that you would join us, and you can send your email to myself, rfreed@studiocitync.org, or to board@studiocitync.org, and we will be in touch. So that's what I'd like to do as it relates to the committees, to push that off. As it relates to SCNC liaisons, I'm assuming this is for items such as the bid and the bank, etc. Correct? Right? Yes. And resilience.
There are there's homelessness liaisons. There are some different committees that have liaisons to different departments. It is also the bank and the bid, and those two. But I do think the one thing we need to do is do the community impact statement authorized writers.
Yes, that's the next item. We will definitely do that now. Yes. And so thank you, Michael. So as it relates to the liaisons, I'll just lump that in with the committee chairs. And announce the appointment of SCNC liaisons at the next meeting. Again, if anyone is interested in joining with our neighborhood council and really representing your community, whether it's with the Business Improvement District, Valley Alliance of Neighborhood Councils, our resilience, just reach out. Again, we'd love to have your participation. Again, that doesn't mean everyone's being replaced. It's been working so hard and has been so committed for the last year, but I would like at least the opportunity to speak with them and as well as invite greater community participation. Moving forward to motion 5A, the Studio City Neighborhood Council authorizes the following board members to submit community impact statements up to 5 and requires a vote tally. There was a public comment or someone who was interested in giving input. It was Barry Johnson, who can't be here this evening, had sent an email that his input was that we should limit it to 3. I'm open to, let's talk about it first. He was thinking because of the power of a community impact statement and representing the SCNC, that it should be limited to, in his eyes, he thought it should be limited to the president, vice president, and I think it was, the other one was the recording secretary. And if either of the vice president or the recording secretary, that at least the president signed off. But that was his input. I just want to toss that out there as one of the comments that was made. And then if I can get some, before we vote, I'm just curious if there's any comments from any board members as to any thoughts on the motion.
Point of order. There's a couple of hands raised, Randy.
Oh, you're right. For a public comment, yes?
Yes.
I think these folks are waiting. We should open up to public comment, be prepared to go because we have a lot of people who I think want to make statements tonight.
Okay, great. So let's limit the time to, for those who want to make public comment, I believe it's in our, please, Nancy, correct me if I'm wrong, I know there's been things that have been flexed. Public comment is 2 minutes? Or
It's
1
up
minute?
to the discretion of the president based on the
Great.
agenda.
So given we have a long agenda and 40 people, I'm going to say 1 minute. Richard, you said you had a timer. Were you interested in being the time monitor again? He's muted. We can't hear him. Got it. And I can't unmute him. Okay, so let me pull up the timer on my cell phone just to move things along. Okay, so we have 1 minute to speak, so we'll start with, oh, I see Eric, and I apologize.
Eric Krevin, do you want to go to Eric?
Let's go to Eric, promote as panelist, I guess.
I've let him go.
Okay. Eric, can you hear us?
He's muted.
I see. He has to unmute himself. It seems like him.
Okay, I'm unmuted.
There you go.
Hi, good evening, Eric. Please go ahead with your comment.
Good evening. It's Eric Previn from Studio City, obviously. I live above Carpenter, and I've been affiliated with the board and serving as the government affairs chair. And I just want to say congratulations to the elected or whatever, the new leadership with, I guess, Randy is going to be the president, and Nancy, who's done a great job in bylaws, will be the vice president. And then obviously Rosner is doing an outstanding job as treasurer, and we appreciate all the drudgery. And finally, Alexa, the great secretary, and the corresponding secretary as well. Who is the corresponding secretary?
Michael DeLazar.
Excellent. All doing a great job. Very exciting. I look forward to a new set of characters and the new life that will be brought to the neighborhood group. I would just focus on trying to be inclusive and fair-minded, which everybody already is, so there's no efforts needed there. And also to find a way to have us all participate in these meetings. I know Gibson was looking at, that my time's up?
You've exceeded your time.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Next we have, let's go to Melissa.
So you are unmuted?
Hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Melissa.
Hi. I just want to say a couple things. First, congratulations to the newly elected officers. I find it very inspiring to see you. I've been a resident in Studio City for 12 years. The majority of these years, I felt sort of apathetic towards the council. There hasn't really done much that matters to me in terms of outreach. And I would like to be interested in what the council is doing and feel like I'm a part of the community and that they're doing their job to engage the community. So I like what I've heard earlier today about talking about having discussions, bringing change, and just bringing the community together. And I think it's important to have these discussions with the current environment about how we can really focus on including everybody. And I wish you all luck, and I look forward to what you're going to bring.
Thank you very much, Melissa. Next, we have, so we can do, his hand was up, but I guess he disappeared.
We have an 818 number. I'm
yeah,
not sure who it is.
That's Richard
Adams.
That's Richard Adams. But does he have a comment? Let's unmute him.
He's unmuted. Richard, you are unmuted.
Yes, obviously I will. I had the timer with me when I got here, so I will be your timer.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay, we have a public comment by Allison.
Allie, you are on, I think.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to say, as someone who's been involved in the SCNC, both officially, I've been consistently here for a year just visiting, and then visited about 12 years prior. During the pandemic, it is the most active I've personally seen it. And I thought you guys have really stood out as a force of service and good, from feed folks, neighbors helping neighbors, social media really reaching people, the town hall that started talking about race, racism, inclusivity, outreach. I just really invite you to keep up the momentum. I think that the Studio City Neighborhood Council can grow and be something really special. And I invite the kind of defense of this is how we've always done it to stop so that it can grow into what the neighborhood is now. And I feel like you're on your way, and I just want to congratulate everyone that's a part of this and hope for solid energy and good service to come. Thank you for your volunteerism and your work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Allie. Do we have any more public comment? Melanie Winter.
Melanie, you are unmuted.
Yep. Hi, Melanie Winter, resident in Studio City for 25 years. Helped develop the founding documents for the Neighborhood Council. I second everything Allison just said with great enthusiasm and welcome the new board officers. I hope that whoever's handling social media and posting of agendas and things, I know the pandemic's tough, but Twitter, emails, timely postings of agendas and other things on all the platforms would be super helpful in getting more people engaged. Hope to see that pick up. I do want to reiterate for the second or third time, I think, that I volunteered to be the resilience liaison. And I have a couple comments on motions. I don't know what motion 8D is related to because there is no link. It doesn't sound like something I would be particularly thrilled about celebrating the opening, given the situation. I don't know what that noise was.
Sorry, it's time.
Well, that was time.
Yeah,
for motion 10A and 10C though, and I want to strike the first line of motion 9A.
Thank you. We have a public comment from Mitz Yamahata.
Mitz, you are free to talk to us. You may have to unmute yourself.
I
You're
sure
good,
did.
you're
Thank
on.
you very much. First time joining on the meeting here. I'm a Studio City resident for about 10, 11 years now. Born and raised in Los Angeles. Thank you very much. I just wanted to give comment that, I contacted the SCNC on social media, and the past and hopefully current have been very active and very accommodating on some of my questions that I have. I'll probably have some comments later regarding safety in the neighborhood. But I wanted to thank you and welcome in the new president and all the new members. And thank you at this time.
Thank you.
My apologies for not demonstrating the timer.
That's okay. Thank you, Richard. We have public comment from Zachary.
Zach, you are on. You have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Am I on?
Yes, sir.
Great. My name is Jack Kelly. I've been a resident of Studio City for 7.5 years. I agree with the other person who called in saying that I would like to strike the first line of motion 9A. And I'd also like to voice my support for my whole-throated support for motion 10C, requesting that supporting a letter to Councilmember Krikorian supporting the people's budget of LA and defunding the LAPD. Thanks.
Thank you for your comment. Go to, oh, yes, Lana?
I just wanted to ask in regards to the motions that some of the stakeholders are bringing up, whether they are pro or con. The comment cards, aren't they specific to the motions when we reach them for the stakeholders to comment at that time about the specific motion?
That's a great point of our question. I think that we have public comment regarding the current motion 5A. However, my understanding from Gibson is that if someone, when you give someone a moment, and he's here if he wants to correct me under a parlay, but that someone, if they are wishing to speak on this item, but then speak about something else, we are to let them speak for their 1 minute.
Okay, I know it's just a little different here with this system.
No, I understand. I'm learning as we go. I'm just, so I think we have to be, let's see, we have a hand up from
Zachary, we never got to before. I'm sorry.
Oh, yes, Zachary, please.
Zachary, you are ready. You're on.
All right, thank you. I just want to say congrats, of course, to the officers like everyone else. I do wish that in addition to, we got the notice on social media next door that this meeting was taking place, the officers were being elected, but we didn't know from what those officers were doing, could we become officers, from whom those officers are being elected. I do congratulate the new officers. I just wish that there was a way that we could know how to join the stakeholders, what is a stakeholder, because right now it just seems like the baton was just from one person to the next and keep a clique and not representing Studio City as a whole. I'm new to this. I've been a resident for 10 years, but this is my first, one of my first times attending a council meeting. And before my time is up, I do want to voice my wholehearted support for 9A. Thank you.
I would just want to, can I make one quick comment to Zachary? Zachary, these are elected seats, and there's an election every 2 years, and you can run yourself for the board next year when the elections come around again. This is an internal election to who's going to be our executive officers. So nobody was cut out. The decision will be made next year who makes up the board going forward.
Public comment from Goat Puppet Friend Snidely.
Yeah, first of all, I tried to find my good puppet, so I'm going to try to talk. I have speech impediment. Lena, you's correct. This dumb motherfucker don't understand the Brown Act. The topic is not 9A. You cannot talk about 9A when you're on 5. So she is absolutely correct. You should be cutting these motherfuckers off because this is about the board members. Now, I'll say one thing about Patrick Lewis. When he was drunk, he was a far better president than this new fool that you just elected. And also, where the great Lisa Sarkin? My puppet want Lisa Sarkin back because my puppet is real smart. He know what to do. So later on, I'm going to find my puppet and Mr. Goat Puppet will be speaking. And finally, I say that fuck the police. But again, I will get the 9A. 9A is fuck the police. 5
Time.
Goddamn problem. Thank you so much.
Okay, without any other public comment, we'll move to motion 5A. So are there any board comments as to who we want to authorize as it relates to having the ability to file a CIS on behalf of the SCNC? Yes, Lana, go ahead. So you need to unmute yourself.
Well, knowing that some of our committees, such as land use and the transportation committee, are in a constant work every day with the city planning and the DOT and public safety, I would offer up the consideration of one or both of those committee chairs.
Comment?
Go ahead, please.
Randy?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Richard, please.
Okay. I know people are talking about massive change, but according to our bylaws, unless that portion was also changed, the president's the only one authorized to speak for the board unless he delegates that. And the job of the secretary and the corresponding secretary, or whatever we're calling him today, recording and corresponding, transmit stuff to the city. The more people are able to issue CISs, the more likely we are to have somebody go rogue and do something that they think is appropriate but might not be. So I really think keeping the number down to the people that are authorized to speak, either by board action or by authority of their office, is the best way to go. But that's just experience speaking.
Would that not be approved by, I mean, even if any of the number of people who could make a CIS, would that not have to still be approved by the board and the president? I mean, isn't there some review?
Exactly.
It would still have to be approved. My understanding would still have to be approved by a board vote. But I do think because of the weight of power, if you will, or influence, maybe not power is the wrong word, because we're just advisory, the influence of a community impact statement should be perhaps limited as it has been historically, because as Richard is suggesting, which I don't know that that's unheard of, that potentially someone might feel strongly, and not that there's malice, but rather they feel so passionately about something that they just want to choose to file a CIS. I think perhaps the authorized additional signatures is more in terms of managing workflow, I feel like, unless someone has another take, versus giving more people the ability. So I personally would agree with Richard Adams that perhaps the way it was is best with the president, or I would maybe change the president, vice president, recording secretary. But any other board members have any thoughts or comments?
Nancy?
Please, Nancy.
I do. I can't find my hand. I would recommend both of the secretaries in case the secretary is absent at a meeting. The other secretary covers.
Okay, so that would be, then that would be perhaps 4: president, vice president, secretary, recording secretary, and corresponding secretary. Am I understanding correctly, Nancy?
Yeah, although I don't have.
I second that amendment.
Okay.
Well, I'm per here, it looks like it requires a vote tally. So then I guess we would start at the top. Those in favor of well, the president's automatically codified in our bylaws that they could submit a CIS, correct?
Yes.
No. Brian's saying no. So
There's,
Do it anyway.
He used to.
When did that
Like,
change?
it's a quick distinction. No, they can't. They do speak for the board, but CAS is kind of its own thing. It's just, it's the reason why it requires a vote tally is because whoever is authorized for it is going to get a unique username and password for it. It's not just like an authority thing. It's just so they have access to that portal.
Question. I noticed that in the recent change in bylaws, there was an effort to delete the word corresponding for a secretary. Are we still going to do that, or are we going to have the name still be out there?
Nancy?
Yeah. Would you like me to answer that? The bylaws, we have the secretary is what we call the recording secretary, same person. And the corresponding secretary is the person who's doing the CISs, who's corresponding with us. And we're going to hopefully, and today we have a motion to make that adjustment so it's parallel in the operating procedures.
Thank you.
Okay, so for the capacity to submit a CIS, I would just move, since it requires a vote tally, I'd like to, if we can, if we're all roughly in agreement, just vote as a block. I think we could do that, could we not? You don't need to vote 4 times for each individual.
It's just because the form has specific spaces for specific numbers.
No, I understand. Okay, so those in favor of the president being able to vote for a CIS, you can just get a, or a file.
Vote for or oppose.
Okay, so those opposed?
Question.
Answer.
You said the president is able to vote for a CIS. I thought we take.
I correct myself. You have the capacity to file a CIS so that the board.
Yeah, well, then I'm in favor of all the 4 officers named president, vice president, recording secretary, correspondence secretary, all being able, just for the sake of redundancy and because they're board members, they are less likely to go running down the road with their hair on fire.
Okay, all those in favor of the vice president being able to file a CIS on behalf of the SCNC board?
Yes.
Right, all those in favor of the recording secretary being able to file a CIS on behalf of the board? And
yes.
all those in favor for allowing the corresponding secretary to file a CIS on behalf of the SCNC board?
Yes.
Okay, so those are so unanimous for all 4 people. Without objection, moving along. So we have elected official and government representative reports. Do we know if, go ahead, Brian.
One I know specifically is, sorry, Brandon Pender from the Neighborhood Council Budget Associates.
Actually, I strike that. I apologize because item 6, sorry, I missed my own notes.
Right.
Item 6 being public comment on agenda items. So for those that have their hands raised currently, if you could please note the item you wish to speak to, your name, you'll have 1 minute to speak. So with that, we'll start with Goat Puppet Friendly. Whenever you're ready, you have 1 minute.
Yes. I don't think just letting everybody file CIS. I don't think you should just designate one person to file a CIS, and I think that person should be the most intelligent member of Studio City. That would be Lisa Sarkis. I think that she got the capability mentally to handle the job. I also say, and I don't. Lisa Jackie, and I think she know what she talk about too. So I just letting anybody write anything. I mean, if you're gonna let everybody write, what the fuck is that? I'm being interrupted today. That's not my echo. So I say just let my goat puppet write a CIS, and he real good with colorful knowledge of words. He expresses himself very well. So that's what I think.
We have a public comment from Eric Previn.
Eric, you can go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's Eric Previn. And community impact statements are great. You know, we've written several from government affairs, and they, you know, the system is archaic. So what this is about is password and codes. You know, you've already voted. Ordinarily, we would do it before you vote, but Barry Johnson is a guy who files a lot of them, so he could be one of the characters. It's, again, there's no danger in somebody having the authorization to file a CIS. In fact, let's remember that in this day and age, even if you, as an individual, it's powerful to file one if you get the whole board to vote for it, but you can file a public comment just as easily through the portal, which gets comprehensively buried, as do the CISs often, and sometimes they don't even appear. But I do think that you've done a good job of distributing it to the people who are most likely to file them quickly and get it done. And I would just tell the clerk to do a better job, if they could, in updating the system, because it's literally like from the early 90s.
Thank you, Eric. Do we have any other public? There's a hand raised for call-in user number 2. If you could perhaps state your name, what agenda item you wish to speak to, and you'll have 1 minute to speak.
Yes, hi. Thank you for letting me speak. My name's Mark Dutton. I am from Tahunga, and I am very concerned about above-ground facilities for 5G being installed throughout all of our cities, throughout our residential neighborhoods, and most disturbingly by schools and churches on church grounds in order for the telecoms and the developers to avoid zoning issues. Our city is silent on this, and it's very disturbing. So if anybody is interested in trying to get together as neighborhood councils and write a form letter and send materials to our representatives, please reach out to me or reach out to 5gfreecalifornia.org. My email is muddystardust, MUDDYSTARDUST @gmail.com. Again, my name is Mark Dutton. You can find me on Facebook at a Facebook group called Communities United CD7. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have any other? I guess we have a public comment by Dave Wilson.
Dave.
Hello, Dave
Okay,
Wilson.
Dave, go ahead. You just unmute yourself and you can go. There you go.
I lowered my hand, but I don't feel like that last guy made any sense, and the guy before him also didn't make any sense. So that's the only thing I wanted to say. But go ahead with the rest of your conversation.
Great, thank you very much. Without
Randy.
Yes, sir.
Are we allowed to make any observations on the public's comments, or is that verboten these days?
I know we've heard different things at different times, right? Two people, 3 opinions. The suggestion is always to avoid any comments, because really we're not engaging could lead to us down a path of talking about something that's not agendized, and we have a long agenda, so part of it's for simply time management. The other is that perhaps there are some that wish to engage in explosive or hot comments for the sole purpose to kind of set us off and look for reaction, and that's also not necessarily beneficial for us as a board or frankly our community. So I would personally refrain, but if you feel so impassioned that you want to say something briefly, you can, although I would say that the person is not going to be allowed to respond to you.
Okay, I'm simply speaking as a citizen who's been involved in litigation with things like this, and the location of cell towers, et cetera, very much of the local ability to restrict those was restricted by the Congress way back during the Clinton administration. And so I would politely suggest, I mean, I understand where they're coming from. I have no problem with where they're coming from. I'm all about the First Amendment, but their hands, maybe in the city's hands, may be severely tied by federal legislation. That's all.
What happened to the end of the agenda where we would say have time for board members to talk about any of the public comments, to address any public comments at the end of the agenda?
Brian could speak to that as it's out, but I believe what it is, it's simply announcements. The goal is that really
Okay.
why the board doesn't comment is that, again, is that the board shouldn't be talking about issues that are not agendized. I think that, am I understanding that correctly? My Robert's Rules of Order aficionado, right? Am I on? Okay, good. Okay, so without any other, we've already had public comment from our friend Go Puppets. I believe we're okay to move forward. Moving forward to elected official and government representative reports. So do we know who is here from? There's Jessica, so we can perhaps promote Jessica. And Brandon Pender.
Okay, I have Jessica promoted. Richard, I muted you for the time being because your phone is really noisy and we can't hear other people.
Hi, Jessica. Whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Congratulations, Randy, and the rest of the board, the newly elected board of the Neighborhood Council. For those who are not aware, I'm always available for you anytime if you want to call, to chat, or meet with me once it's really okay to meet with people. I have not been doing any of that yet. Well, really neither has our office, but the field that is. Any type of updates, the council is working on the budget right now. There was a budget committee meeting on the 15th that was in person that I did not know until I started watching the video, where they voted on a motion that would take into consideration for the CAO to look at potentially trimming 150 million from the LAPD budget. The motion was simply just for the CAO to look into that. The motion was approved. 3 were no's, and those 3 no's were Busciano, John Lee, and Paul Koretz. And we're monitoring that as it progresses. Another thing that came through was a motion from David Rue, which is Council District 4, where they're looking at a parcel tax for vacant properties, in particular rental units, potentially commercial properties as well, and that would put it on the November ballot potentially, if that passes, for the voters to decide on that type of parcel tax. And that's based on the amount of vacant properties that exist in the city of Los Angeles. It's technically illegal to discriminate against people who have Section 8 vouchers. Unfortunately, I'm sure we all know that that doesn't, while it's illegal, it does happen. So this is one of the ways they're trying to look into preventing that based on the lack of housing that we have. And this might not apply, it doesn't look like yet, but it probably will not apply to RSO property just because they are always usually full. And that, what I mean by that is rent stabilized units, rent controlled. Other updates, yeah, basically my life right now is filled with budget stuff. LAPD is a very popular right now issue, and we've been inundated with a lot of phone calls from that. And oddly enough, about 2 days ago, all T-Mobile, it just went down. The entire system went down. So we could not get any phone calls or make phone calls. Because it's, you know, why not? What else is new lately? That's pretty much it on my end. There's a bunch of stuff kind of in the cooker, but it's kind of on hold right now because of the emergency that we're under in terms of being able to push things that require funding. We have to be able to determine as whether or not it would be emergency. So that's unfortunately why some things are on hold right now. In terms of transportation issues, my colleague Sahag, for those who do not know, was promoted to transportation deputy. He took the place of Doug Mensman, so he's handling any transportation issues. So that's for Barry Johnson, as well as handling any questions and concerns about the FAA meetings that continue to take place. Transportation stuff in our district right now, of course, is the NTM study, which we are still going to submit the request for the funding that we have. We initially were going to have to submit a motion. We spoke with DOT and they're willing to accept a letter. So we will not need to submit a motion to get the funding for that particular project. A letter will suffice. So to be determined once, at this point it's above me, they're dealing right now with that in policy. And that's for the neighborhood traffic management plan implementation. So the funding to implement all of the improvements that were agreed upon. And I feel like that is it for right now.
Are there any questions perhaps for, just I see hands up. So Lana, go ahead, and then Alex.
I just have a piece of information to share with Jessica in regards to maybe some association to your network going down, the 5G network. I did notice days back where an above ground Pac Bell utility box had been broken open and vandalized, but I did report it, but that's AT&T. So I don't know if some of these activities are happening. I have noticed at various places sometimes that these boxes are not secured, maybe even after work has been done, or maybe there is someone who actually does crack them open and try to do something, but just thought I'd share that information.
Sure. Lana, correct?
Yes.
So it was a nationwide outage.
Got it.
But what you speak to is actually a city problem. It's become such a problem that the Bureau of Street Lighting has had to create its own division solely to deal with vandalism. Because what happens is a lot of the individuals experiencing homelessness they break into their boxes and A, either plug in their cell phones, or B, steal the copper wiring.
Oh, yes.
And it's become so bad that I actually had a location. So far in Studio City, we've been able to just replace it, no problem. Lights go back up in a few days. In Valley Village, I had one that was so bad that they actually had to install underground wiring because they could not take the loss anymore because they kept on doing it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And if that happens in your neighborhood, your best thing to do is definitely, you can report it to Bureau of Street Lighting through 311, but please reach out to me so that I can make sure that it's on my list, because they are going to treat my request as more higher priority than if you just submit one.
Well, actually, this was Pac Bell. So when I contacted them, they said that was in their jurisdiction, because I did call 311. Okay. They had referred me to Pac Bell because it was just a public phone box.
Okay, AT&T basically.
Yes.
I have contacts at AT&T too to make sure.
Oh, great.
Which, by the way, took a while. Let me tell you, now that I have them, very quickly.
Well, maybe we should get a list of those folks. Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah, I'm happy to meet with whoever wants to meet with me even right now if it's on Google, and I can help you guys navigate the system that is the massive bureaucracy of the city of Los Angeles. Yes, so I'm happy to introduce people to certain people in departments, whatever it takes, because the stuff I do, granted, I'll do a lot more, but you have access to departments and I can help you with that access.
That'd be lovely. I would love to take advantage of that. Thank you for that offer.
You're welcome. Feel free to email me. And if you do email me, please say something like, Lana from the Neighborhood Council, because I get so many emails.
I will.
Thank you.
Alex Zbicki, please go ahead. Alex, if you want to unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi, Jessica. How you doing?
I'm well, Alex. How are you holding up during all of this fun?
Yeah, I'm always amazed of our accomplishments. I just wanted to bring up, I emailed you about 4 weeks ago regarding the repaving of Coldwater.
I
don't know if
never
you-
saw that email.
Okay. Yeah, I'll resend it to you. I was just interested that Public Works built, they paved up the Hacienda.
Yes.
And then they let the disaster go all the way to Potosi. Why did you guys do a patch job instead of, I mean, you guys literally went from Ventura Boulevard and you did, right? And then so you got the repave and then it's, after that, it's the worst part of Coldwater Canyon. And then, because I know they want to plan a trunk line redo again, of course, they want to open up Coldwater after going through that nightmare 4 years ago.
There is a reason. So actually, I see your email and it was flagged as a phishing email, so that's why it didn't come through.
I sent it on the SCNC, I believe.
know that. So I guess it's not used to you doing it.
Okay.
So I can answer that question. So DWP has had permits on Coldwater for years to do trunk line work, like you mentioned. Because it's taking forever, we basically were like, look, DWP, you've got to decide what section you're going to start on because we need to start resurfacing the street because it's taking forever. So I worked with DWP and Streets LA, which is formerly Bureau of Street Services, to have basically come to an agreement. And what they said was, we need one side so we can actually do our project and you guys can resurface the other side. And once we're done, then you can resurface the other side. That's why the other portion hasn't been done yet, because they're going to rip up the street basically.
So last point. So what we did with the trunk line last time where we shut down Coldwater Canyon effectively, that wasn't accomplished, what they want to do now.
It wasn't finished. So throughout the city, there's emergency trunk line projects going on. There's a massive one right now in Valley Village, which kind of goes into North Hollywood. That's been going on, and then it stalls and it gets pushed back. And it's the same thing with DWP. I'm actually still waiting to hear from DWP on a timeline when they'll start that project on Coldwater. So I've asked them 3 times.
Because portion, which is only, 100 feet between Hacienda and Potosi, maybe 200, 300 feet, or maybe 1,000 feet. I mean, literally, there's no point in paving Coldwater because
no, we wanted to.
The worst part exposed, and people are complaining to me. They're saying, why didn't you just finish that? I mean, even if you have to rip it up again, do the job.
Well, there's a reason for that. So we can't. So once you resurface the street, the city has a rule. It's a 1-year moratorium that no one can rip up the street. If they do, they will not only suffer a severe fine, but then they'll be mandated to pay for the resurfacing of it.
All these rules, but you know what? Do something right. If these patch jobs all down the city are ridiculous, you patch up parts of Fulton, then the next part is a disaster. I know we have no money, but the problem is that, we have no money. I get it.
Well, in terms of resurfacing, that was a major thoroughfare that we made sure that we had money for, and it's not patched. That section, Alex, was actually resurfaced. It wasn't patched.
Right, but just a part of it. The rest of it is.
We're going to finish the other part, I promise you. It will get done.
In my lifetime?
Yes, in my lifetime.
Oh, okay. I'll hold you to that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jessica, thank you for your time. We have a couple, there are a couple questions. I just wanted to get the people placed in the Q&A section that I wanted to put to you. Sure. One is, if you could give out your contact info again. There was a question from one of our stakeholders, Elaine, asking, what are they or the city doing to keep folks in the rec center and hotels housed post-pandemic? That was one. And the other question was, actually, that's the only one I see. Okay, go ahead.
So right now, the short, and I'll get into that, but I'll kind of give it a background for those who don't know. The short-term requirement has been to house people experiencing homelessness in gymnasiums, essentially. So we have several in our district that are currently housing individuals experiencing homelessness. That is something that the city has done. The county actually, and this is where there's some confusion, the county is actually the ones predominantly responsible for mental health care and also housing people in larger scale projects, in particular what we call Project Room Key. This project, Room Key, is the governor's office has been working on it with the county. And they're the ones that have been able to house thousands of people in various hotels throughout the city. Right now, there is no timeline as to when that's going to end. So they're paying essentially these hotels to house these homeless people indefinitely. I do not have an end time right now. We don't know. Basically, we don't want to put these people back into the streets, so we're not going to end it anytime soon. Same thing that goes for our bridge homes right now. We have 2 under construction in our district. One should be slated to open up. Actually, they both should be slated to open up next month. Those are what we call bridge homes, which is the mayor's term for that. And it's basically what he calls a bridge home to permanent supportive housing. So they're not permanent supportive housing, but right now they're going to be there for several years until we actually build enough permanent supportive housing to put them in permanently. Those unfortunately only house a couple hundred people, whereas Project Room Key has been able to house thousands of people, which is a much more long-term solution. And there is no end date with that. A really good resource to follow up with Project Room Key would be County Supervisor's office, in particular, Sheila Kuehl's office. And I would recommend calling her office downtown because this is more of a policy related issue, whereas her field representatives are not going to know the answers to that. I mean, I know that. So I would call her offices downtown to get information. The neighborhood council, I know there's going to be some changes, but the Homelessness Committee and the neighborhood council in Studio City can also help assist if you guys need resources. And if whoever asked that question, you can email me. My information's on the website. It's jessica.fugate@lacity.org. And I can send you the information if you want to learn more and where to keep up with that kind of stuff. Because there is a lot of moving parts with that and daily changes to it as COVID progresses.
Great, thank you, Jessica. Can we unmute Richard Adams, and then there's also a couple of public comments for you, Jessica, or questions, I'm assuming. So if we can go Richard Adams. I apologize that you were muted.
Not a problem. I turned off the fan. It was making all the noise, and I have no comment on this item.
Okay, if we can go, there's a question for you from Eric Previn.
Hello.
Hi, Eric.
Yes, go ahead, Eric. 1 minute, please.
Hey, thank you. Thanks, Jessica, for that exhaustive report. Really, really appreciate it. I wanted to reference what you said early in your presentation about the transportation management plan, which I know is inclusive of that, is a plan to make it so that when you're coming down Sunshine Terrace from down the hill into Studio City on Laurel Canyon, and you make as you're coming down the hill, a right onto Sunshine Terrace, there was talk about, as you proceed, making it impossible to make a left onto Carpenter during selected hours. And as you know, our entire neighborhood around here was outraged at the idea because it would drive traffic up to Rec Law. And then there was a proposal by Barry to stick another sign up so that they couldn't also go through Rec Law. And my strong vote, given the pandemic and the racial strife in America, is to scrap that plan and let's move forward. Let's not get the money to put up those signs to torment people. The problem is being solved by cooperative neighbors, making room and moving through. There hasn't been as much of a problem as there seems to be an appetite. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. We have a question for you, Jessica, coming from Wayne, aka Good Puppet Friend Sniper.
Wayne Spindler.
But I didn't sign up for that name, so
But I want to point out that sneaky Paul Kokorian forgot to tell you something. Jessica forgot to tell you something. They're holding a special budget meeting tomorrow at 1 p.m. How come she didn't tell you about that? And the reason why is because they don't want you to know what they're doing with your money. See, they sneaking the budget on a day when normally they never hold budget meeting on an afternoon like 1 o'clock like a Thursday. But Paul Krikorian and we go by. I can't do it. The puppet does it well, but why are they holding a special meeting tomorrow to try to sneak past it? What happened to civil engagement, and what happened to the promise of transparency? You are
Time.
Nothing.
We have a call-in user.
Yes. Finally. I finally got to a telephone. Now we will learn.
Suggest this caller has already spoken.
Yes.
Yes, it's Wayne Spindler.
Okay, a comment from Dave Wilson.
Dave, go ahead.
Who lets this person go comment on? Like, why does this person keep coming on?
So, Dave, thanks for your question. To answer your question, as a city body, we are, our meetings are open to the public, and thus people are allowed to make public comment for 1 minute. Whether I agree, disagree, find it offensive, he has a First Amendment right to speak, and so we cannot, I've actually asked, we have to allow him his 1 minute. I apologize, but that is right. Okay, anyone else with a comment for Jessica without objection? I'd like to move forward because we do have a rather robust agenda.
Randy, a quick comment, please. People are asking in questions and answers that they are not able to see the full board that they used to before, and maybe you can reset it so they have access to that. And some
I've
people
been
are
looking at it. I can't find a setting here that would allow that to happen.
they saw it before supposedly, and now they're not, so they're having issues with
Yeah,
that.
no, it's a great, I've seen the comment as well. Thank you for bringing it up. I can just say that when I look at the settings, I believe, at least for me anyway, people are typically able to choose whether they're viewing speaker view or gallery.
Yeah.
That's something that the viewer can do, not something we can't control their view, I believe. Brian Carroll, please go ahead.
You also, Brendan Pender had to jump off, but he's back on the number that ends in 340.
Great, thanks. If we can just acknowledge, Jessica, thank you so much. Brandon Pender.
1 minute?
No, he's the official.
I have 5 minutes.
Whenever you're
Is
ready.
that right, Randy?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is Brandon Pender with your Neighborhood Council Budget Advocate. I'm just my report basically is that we're going to be having our annual town hall and an election on Saturday and Sunday. That's the 27th and the 28th. It's going to be virtual. So for all that information, you need to go to ncbla.com. That's ncbla.com, and there'll be a board there where you can look where all the areas there. We're in area Region 4, so Region 4 is going to be on the 28th, and so you'll be able to participate in the town hall, and the appointed budget reps for each neighborhood council will be electing the 3 budget advocates in their area.
And also at the same time, I want to tell you too is that we're going to be addressing before we stand down this matter with the mayor, with the whole issue with the police department. But it's going to be based on our vote this Saturday. This time around with the budget advocates, whoever is going to be a part of the budget advocates, we're going to address something totally different. I don't think we're going to have another very large document like we normally have. I think that's not popular anymore. A lot of the budget advocates have said, this is sort of ridiculous. We should stick to certain particular areas of the budget for the city. Maybe put out several documents throughout the year instead of having something that's several hundreds of pages long. And that may be something that the neighborhood councils may agree upon. There may be something that the neighborhood councils don't agree upon. But because of that, you don't get a neighborhood council to endorse it at all, period. Now, in this particular situation, the budget reps are very welcome to basically participate with the budget advocates. It's really not a big deal because you can write papers if you want to. You can participate in the meetings. The only thing you don't do is really vote, but also at the same time you don't have the pleasure of schlepping all over the different neighborhood councils all over the place if you don't have the time to do that. But also regular stakeholders can also participate and are given credit when we do the white papers or when we do what we're going to be doing this coming year with that. So it doesn't really matter whether you're a budget advocate or not, as long as you get a part of the process. At the same time, we're going to start really also debating and starting our interviews with the department heads of what happened during the pandemic, what the city was not ready for, what they should be ready for now since this has all happened, what areas in the city that was really underfunded, undermanned. I mean, I know the emergency preparedness the division is undermanned, underfunded, and could have done a better job, even though they did an excellent job, but could have done a better job if it had more personnel and more funding during the pandemic. And then, so if you're going to take away from one and give to another, that's a good area to put some money towards, because outside of all the big cities like us, we are, compared to even San Francisco, which is smaller than us, they have more people in their emergency preparedness department than we do. And we should be pretty close to maybe New York. And so that's another thing we're going to address. We're going to address what the city did this time around, not being prepared for this sort of situation. And this is all the way around, even with this whole thing, 1 minute police and with the police and the people's budget. So, I urge you guys to maybe participate. So there's some radio ads that I put out this year that we're going to have a lot of people, because right now we've got like 3,000 or 4,000 people did hits on our website. So wow, to me that's fantastic. So I hope that people are interested. We're Region 4, as you know, and I look forward to your
30 seconds
participation. And also I want to say something really very quick. We do have some civility rules with these neighborhood council meetings, and the board members can really basically warn these people that you can't come on and speak with profanity and things like that. You really have to be able to either cut that person off after he's been warned and then do it again, because really we do have these rules, and they used to be posted. I know we don't have the luxury of having the full meeting where everybody's there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brandon, for your comment. Lana, go ahead.
I'd just like to say that I'd be happy to volunteer to work with Brandon as the Studio City liaison for the budget rep in association with him.
Okay, great. Let's discuss that offline.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. I do want to. Do you want to move right along? I do see Mr. Gibson. Namura. Hi, Gibson.
Mr. President, members of the board, hi, everybody. Great to see we have a new board. It's always good to see that board members are eager to just kind of try different positions within the neighborhood council system. Want to thank everybody for the process. Want to thank Brian a lot because we've been able to collaborate for the past year, and it's been a good relationship where we've been growing. We've been able to sort of collaborate and just kind of work off of each other. Want to thank Nancy for always just being the badass that she is, and always just keeping 100 with me. And it's just kind of good to see everybody being active within this board and just asking questions. Also, I do see that since we do have a good participant audience, I just want to let everybody know that Studio City has been an active neighborhood council. As mentioned in public comment, during this COVID, they definitely were the community organization that led a lot of initiatives, and we were just here to support. And we were able to make sure that they can meet online off of Zoom. And so if people have any sort of questions on how they can participate, please make sure to, one, sign up to receive agenda notifications on the website. Always check the NIST Studio City Neighborhood Council website. Also sign up to receive agendas through the city notification system. Also just reach out to your president if they have any questions within the neighborhood council system. I just want folks to feel familiar with how this working on a local level, on the community level, the grassroots level. Because without these board members, a lot of issues would not be addressed. And that's why when public comment came in, even though people are eager to sort of talk about what they're objected to and what agenda item, I think it's just something I challenge board members of the public is to participate more and give this board this opportunity to discuss. So I just ask during this meeting we be respectful. Please understand that the board will provide you with your public speaking time. We just ask that you recognize that you're participating in a neighborhood council public meeting. And I think that was a couple of things that was brought up. Since we're using Zoom, a couple updates. The 1-800 number feature has been purchased with the department. It's something that we'll be making an announcement. So when stakeholders who felt as though they do not want to use their minutes, their phone minutes, and they wanted to listen into the meeting, now they can use a toll-free number. It's something we'll touch base with the board members. Also, we've made sure that phone numbers are masked. It's a feature that Zoom has, so whenever stakeholders are speaking, the phone number is not visible if you're calling in. In addition to that, we are also sort of continuing to train our neighborhood council board members on how to sort of, especially in times like these, how do we talk to stakeholders over Zoom? As a question that was brought up earlier, when it comes to public comment, the recommendation is not to talk back to stakeholders when they have issues. However, if it's something that's very light, it's just like, hey, I'm not sure where to go, we can always like give just a light statement, something short, simple, and to the point. When it comes to public comment or non-agenda items, you're just letting stakeholders vocalize their issue. If there's an issue of if it's the issue of public safety, we can always, the board or the president can say, hey, we do a due diligence, we'll follow up with you, or we'll try to bring it to the agenda for next month's board meeting. We want stakeholders to participate and just kind of listening on in and just have the board to have a full discussion. One thing also we've been reiterating, having meetings through Zoom, is doing it over roll call because we have stakeholders who are calling in, because not everybody is able to see the meeting. We're just asking that the votes be taken over roll call. I know it adds a little extra step because I know we're already 8:30 and we're trying to do our due diligence. We want to be respectful of time, but I think just in respect of people calling in, it's a good strategy. There's a couple of things we'll touch base with the president, maybe just putting the agenda on the screen as you guys go through it, just to see if it works. So if stakeholders say they did not see the corrected agenda, just something that we can always avoid, like, hey, this is the agenda, we're going to have it on the screen. So if you are watching, you can watch as the board discusses the agenda. In regards to that, I just want to have everybody have a good board meeting. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for fighting during this COVID and just kind of stepping up and being part of your community. And I'm just here to be the supportive system that I am within the system. Thank you.
Thank you, Gibson. Appreciate it. Moving on to item number 8, see how fast we can pick the pace a little bit. Treasurer's report, Rick Rosner, go.
Not much to report. We're moving forward trying to get encumbrances approved. Those are expenses that we know that we're going to have next year, so we can roll over money from this year. And most of them relate to Luminaria. And that's it.
Great. So if we can move forward, actually, I see a public comment. Eric Previn, please go ahead for 1 minute.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Yeah. So what is happening with, I mean, that was a very brief report with the finances. Did we, because last time I remember at the meeting, which we were not able to facilitate a recording of yet, there was some conversation about getting more clarity about what was spent during the COVID crisis, you know, in terms of on what and specifically. So, because I know that we had some kind of special authority. Now, I realize that this is the treasurer's report, so I just want to know, you know, very simply, what did we spend and on what? That's my question. Thanks.
Great,
Can
thank you.
There were some incidental expenses. I haven't seen the receipts come in for them, but there was $2,000 for the food pantry, which was a long-standing request that because the food pantry people, you know, hadn't fully completed their form, it kind of got hung up. But now's the time to be giving them the money. So we finally got that through. And then there's some, you know, monthly expenses like the web corner. But beyond that, people can correct me because I've been staying home with my stupid comorbidities and also laziness. So people who've been out there doing the active volunteering can correct me about expenses.
Okay, there's a public comment from David Sindelar.
Now we're going to find out from Mr. Bonk over there. Why are people being thrown out of a meeting without a warning? Now, Gibson has had some experience with this in Encino Neighborhood Council, where they got so upset one time and done something dumb like this, they called the cops and 4 people resigned. Legal claims are filed. You know, if you can't take...
Point of order, germane to the motion.
If you can't take, if you can't take in your budget, let's do this with your budget. We need some serious time with training on the Brown Act, man. Especially these guys that get emotional, Mr. Gibson. I'm telling you, the city's going to get sued and sued and sued. And one thing I'll say, yes, that 800 number, we need that stuff because a lot of these people get cut off, like what this dum-dum just did, and they can't get back on, and they don't have their minutes. Because I got even on prepaid minutes on cell phone, they charge you if you're on 800 number. How do you get these meetings for free? If you're homeless, if you're unemployed, how do you get these meetings for free? You can't do it unless you have a landline with an 800 number. You can't even do it with an internet connection. So again, more speech is better than blank speech. So I don't know what's going on, but stop excluding the public when you're using my tax dollars to fund this stuff, and cut this crap off, man. If you can't do civic engagement, you got to leave, because the city's going to get sued for this, and that's my tax dollars. I don't want my tax dollars going to Jacoby and Myers. Okay, end of my time.
Okay, so if we can move forward, Rick, with your motions, we have, actually, I see that Richard Adams has raised his hand.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
Richard, go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so if we can move forward with your motion, if you go ahead, Rick, motion 7A. Rick?
Maybe he's muted.
I think he froze.
Rick Rosner? Okay. I'll just read his motion. Motion 7A, the Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council has reviewed the monthly expenditure report for April 2020 and hereby accepts and approves the report as presented. Has everyone been able to see that report and review it?
Yes.
Okay, so then if we can vote, that'd be great.
This has to be a roll, I believe.
I believe so, yes.
Alexa?
I forgot I was muted. Richard Adams,
Yes.
Brian Carroll,
Yes.
Michael Delazar,
Yes.
Randall Freed,
Yes.
Alex Bezbecki,
Yes.
Mira Kaplan.
She's not voting.
Mira can't vote.
I'm so sorry. I'm just going down the list here. Radufia,
Yes.
Lisa Karajian,
Yes.
Nancy Kramer,
Yes.
Richard Niederberg,
Charlie, I lost the meeting.
Richard Niederberg, yes. No?
Richard,
What do I?
He's muted.
Yes.
yes. Okay. Jesse Porter,
Yes.
Rick Rosner,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
me, yes. Adam is not here. And Joseph Tishy?
Yes.
Great. Motion 7A passes. Motion looks like 7C. Rick Rosman, you want to read that?
Wait, here it is. Here it is. Okay. 7B. Do we have a 7? We've got a 7C.
Sorry, it's 8. Everything got moved down. Sorry about that.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
Apologies.
7C, the board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council approves the reimbursement of $250 to Randy Freed for expenses related to the SCNC's COVID-19 response. We need a second.
Point of order,
Okay.
Mr. President.
Yes, please go ahead. I apologize. Go ahead.
Not that I don't want you to get your money back, but I have yet to see what the money was spent on. In the interest of transparency and doing our due diligence to our stakeholders, I would politely suggest that this be tabled until such time as the documents are provided, unless I miss them.
That's I don't object to that. Rick, have you seen all the receipts? And actually, I would ask perhaps we can, because I actually don't believe there was a link for this motion showing all of the receipts. Is that correct?
Oh.
I didn't get a link, and if they were in the zip file Brian sent me, I didn't see them. Can somebody tell me where they are?
There's no link.
What the name of the file is?
Okay, no problem. There's no link, so I'll make sure for the next meeting that you can see all of the receipts. It was actually $177 of reimbursing a volunteer who purchased food for someone who was immunocompromised and had and was experiencing food insecurity. We didn't know that initially when the volunteer went to help them. So, but that's not I'm happy to provide the receipts, proof of payments that I made out to a volunteer, and that volunteer has provided this receipt. So, no problem. Let's table that motion.
Yeah, as I said, I'm not trying to put you.
Postpone.
Don't want you. Yeah, I want you to get your money back. I just don't want us to be the sling for not doing what we're supposed to do.
Quite fine and not a problem. Motion 7D. Rick, go ahead.
The board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council approves up to $750 to co-sponsor the upcoming event of the Coalition of Business and Residents Associations celebrating the reopening of businesses in Sherman Oaks and Studio City.
May I ask which board member brought this motion forward? Perhaps I can speak to it. Oh, Brian Carroll.
Hi.
Brian did.
Yeah, I can speak to this. So COBRA, the Coalition of Business and Residents Associations, was a project that has been in the works for the last like 2 or 3 weeks. This is a combination between the Studio City Neighborhood Council, the Sherman Oaks Neighborhood Council, the Residents Association here in Studio City, the Homeowners Association in Sherman Oaks, the Chamber of Commerce in Studio City. This kind of became organically. I just took these meetings because they're informal. They are putting together an event, if it's able to be done healthily and safely, on the weekend of July 11th. And if, things change, then that will be extended. But the idea is to get all the businesses around Studio City and Sherman Oak kind of back on their feet all at once. The money is going to like signage and just to promote the event and just to get everyone out there. Again, as long as it's safe for people to do so. There's 8 organizations total. Each one was asked to just agendize if that's what they have to do, $750, and that's where it is right now.
Who are the other organizations?
Hold on, let me. I have to find it, but.
I'm assuming the bids are involved.
That's it. The bids are the other part of it. So it's 2 bids, 2 chambers, 2 neighborhood councils, and 2 residents associations, residents and homeowners association.
I second it.
Okay, comment from Lana.
I just wanted to say, do they have a location where this would take place?
Yeah, so it's going to be centered mainly on Ventura. I think there's going to be 4 different signs, and stuff like this is not really battened down yet in terms of location or even what the event will be. They just know that they're going to need signage and promotion and stuff like that. But the idea is that it centers on Ventura, and then it's to promote all businesses between Sherman Oaks and Studio City.
As I said, I second.
Okay, so Lisa, go ahead.
So how far, do we know the details into Studio City? Is it just the bid section or is it coming all the way east to Lancashire?
I believe, the last I heard it, and again, this is not battened down yet, but it didn't go as far as Lancashire, but it was far to the east side of Studio City.
Okay, so as this progresses in conversation, we're going to know more and we're going to know where the $750 is exactly going to be spent, because we just need more clarity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm wondering, July 11th ultimately isn't that far. We know that cases of COVID-19 are actually on the rise in the county. And I just wonder, if realistically this event can happen, but sounds great. Unless there's any other comment, I would say let's bring this to a vote.
We do have public comment.
Yes. Oh, Jesse, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I would just be interested in expanding on the point you just brought up, Randy, which is sort of clarifying whether this event is necessarily something that's absolutely going to happen on July 11th, or whether that's potentially contingent on one or more scenarios related to the progression of the COVID pandemic. That what kind of determination will be made regarding the ability of our sort of general commercial sector to reopen safely, and for that to be something that we want to be promoting. Obviously, there's a lot of mixed messaging going on right now.
Mm-hmm. 100%. My main question when I asked that, our last meeting was actually yesterday, and my only real question was, if July 11th is coming up and we don't, because things have been changing by the hour in some days,
Right.
Is the July 11th day chiseled in stone, or are we really? Because in the very beginning, they told me, which is why I was interested in it, because they wanted to do this as safely and as up to public health officials as humanly possible. So, my hope is that they would keep to that. I don't speak for the group itself, but I would imagine that if they move forward opening this on July 11th and every indicator is saying otherwise, then no, I do agree that that's bad. But I do think they'll have to push it back if we're still in this by then.
Comment?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Real simple. One, if we obligate the money out of this year's budget, it's money we get, have, period, even if the event doesn't come off. Second of all, Semper Gumby was one of the great rules in the Army, always flexible. If the date has to move, the date has to move. It's something we ought to support, because businesses, as a business representative, need our help now more than ever because of all the difficulty that's gone on this year. I strongly urge everybody to vote on that. And before this section ends, I have a question for the treasurer.
If I can answer just one more thing, the one hiccup in this is that it's not a straight funding thing. It is up to $750 because it's under a co-sponsorship arrangement. So it would be a reimbursement kind of scenario. And it doesn't necessarily have to go up to $750, but that's the kind of scenario we're talking about.
Rick Rocker?
Yeah, I support this, but I also support it being available for something other than July, because looking at the charts, we had more COVID cases in the state of California today than any other day ever by like 10%. So, it's.
Yeah, I mean, I support it too. I echo that. And I also wonder, they're saying, I get Brian right, that they're, if the metrics are going in the wrong direction, then obviously they would postpone. But I would ask, but whose metrics? As Jesse said, there's a lot of different information out there, right? We live in this area of your facts, my facts, for some. And so I just, is it by LA County Health Department, et cetera? So I actually would, well, no, I can't because July 11th is so close. Can't even postpone it to review for the next meeting. I have some serious questions, but let's go to, if there's any other board comments, we'll just hear the public really quickly on this. Okay, yes, Lana, go ahead.
Are there any promotional materials that they've drafted for us to just see what it might?
Yeah, I think they did. It just came in too late. So I can forward that tonight or latest by tomorrow morning.
That might help us.
Yeah, because
I just don't have it right at the ready, but
I think assigning city taxpayer money with something that doesn't, although it seems well intended, but not thoroughly kind of flushed out, I have some reservations about. But we'll pay to vote in 1 second. If we could hear from Dave Wilson, 1 minute, please. Thank you.
Dave, go ahead.
My wife is a ER nurse at Northridge. And I have some concerns about this because the cases keep rising at her hospital. She's an ER nurse, and the cases keep rising in the ER without actually taking into consideration these rising cases. Are we preliminarily raising the stakes in our own city because we want businesses to reopen? It seems a little
I'd just like to interject that this is a motion about the finances of this, not if the businesses are going to open and when, but if they do and when they do eventually, which that will happen, are we allowing for this budgetary, the finances to be allotted to this use?
and that's a great conversation to have. My concern is that we might be opening these businesses and allowing them to have finances prior to a date that is reasonable for our own health.
Commenter is overtime.
Great. Thank you, Dave. Melanie Winter, please. You have 1 minute, whenever you're ready.
Thanks. Yeah, it makes me uneasy. There's been a lot of messaging on opening up the economy. And if you look at the root of the word economy, it's bigger than just business. And this push to reopen business is sooner than is safe to get people to shop rather than to be concerned for the commonweal and public health is not helping our numbers and is not helping the greater population. And so the notion of participating in something that celebrates the reopening, I have a business and I'm a resident, and it's not all businesses are even going to be able to reopen by the time it's safe. So that celebration might be kind of sour, and it makes me uneasy to commit to participating in something like this at this moment in time. Just the messaging and how it unequally celebrates corpse over
time.
Thank you. Eric Previn for 1 minute.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. You know, I think that there's two issues. One is COVID, and the other is clarity and transparency about what the money would be spent for. And there's no need to repeat it. It should be kind of written down in a way, and it should be very specific, because, you know, money just flows out. I mean, when I hear social media, my head gets a little bit hot, because that's just like a vacuum. And since there's not certainty, not by anyone's fault of our own, for when we can actually go back to businesses, I think that this should be deferred, or, you know, and I don't understand what the money would be for. That's a lot of money, 6 times $750 to put out food. I mean, businesses opening means they get back to work. They don't, I mean, I guess, is there a music planned? It feels like the wrong idea to put together a big gathering at this time, but, you know, the heart's in the right place. So I support the idea.
Thank you, Eric. David Sindelar, 1 minute, whenever you're ready. Thank you.
Unmute, David. I guess I can't hear him. He's not there. Well, I think I suggest we move on.
Okay, so we can bring this motion to a vote.
Could I raise a new point and reiterate one?
Sure.
Okay. I've been in healthcare for decades and other things with the Army. We're doing more testing. Of course, we're going to find more cases. And second of all, I would reiterate that this money, once we obligate it out of this fiscal year, will be in our budget for next year. So we really ought to vote for this. And my question for the treasurer is it too late to obligate money for any other funds? But I guess it has to be a board vote, so I guess it is.
There's this encumbrance process that we can turn in stuff up to June 30th. So if you have items that we've spent money on in the past that you think we're going to spend money on in the future, get them to me and I'll get them to the city and see if we can get that approved.
Fine, because I can encumber $15,000 or $20,000 between this year's planned max budget for Tasco and the Green Living Fair. I'll talk to you offline.
Okay.
Okay. Let's just so you know, Richard, testing, by the way, in the city of LA has plateaued around 10 in the county, about 10,000 tests per day. So the notion that tests are going out, cases are going up because tests are going up for LA County is not an accurate statement. Let's bring this motion to a vote. So the motion.
Roll call vote.
If you want to read it one more time really quick, Rick. Actually, we had David Sindelar has reappeared. We were trying to hear from him. So if we can unmute him, give him 1 minute, that'd be great.
Randy, you kind of froze up there for a second. Rick, why don't you reread the motion for us?
Okay. The board of the SCNC approves up to $750 to co-sponsor the upcoming event of the Coalition of Business and Residents Associations celebrating the reopening of businesses in Sherman Oaks and Studio City.
Richard Adams.
As a retired GI Joe, I'm proud to vote in favor of Cobra.
Brian Carroll.
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Randy. Is he still frozen?
Oh, he just got kicked off. I'm the host again. Hold on.
Bye, Randy. See you later. I'll come back to him.
Okay, yeah.
Alex, is Vicky?
Yes.
Raduca?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Alexa, Adam is absent, and Joseph.
Yes.
Well, we're just waiting on Randy's vote.
I'll text him to find out what his vote is.
Okay, then we can move on.
Want me to
Motion-
read the
motion
next
carries.
motion?
Got the votes anyway.
Motion passes.
Motion carries. Moving on to 7E.
7E, the Board of the SCNC approves the NCFP fiscal year administrative packet for SCNC's financial year 2021 budget.
I also brought.
Point of order.
Yeah.
I was under the impression these had to go through a budget committee meeting before they were brought to the board. And unless I missed it, we haven't had a budget committee meeting to address this issue.
Is Gibson still on? Sorry, I shouldn't be presiding. I'm sorry, bad habit. Nancy, you're the...
Is Gibson? I would say, Brian, for clarification, is there a reason we must have it done today?
Because after, the same problem we kind of had last year is what I was trying to prevent. I mean, if it's tabled, it's tabled, but
Postpone
the
till
thinking
next
was
time?
to put forward an agenda before the June 30th, fiscal year break. So, so that the neighborhood council at least has something, because it can be changed at will, basically. But just having a budget, that means you don't have to go into the restricted funds by the city clerk. So it's put there as a courtesy to try to get everyone up to zero. But that's why it's on there.
I can live with that. Thank you.
No problem.
Hi, I apologize.
Welcome back.
That's fine, Randy. I need your vote.
Yeah, yes. I actually said no, but it sounds like everyone else voted yes. So.
Okay.
Your voice still counts.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We did have a hand raised before I cut off. I apologize. Home internet issues, apparently. There was a public comment. We tried to add him and he fell off. David Sindelar, if you can please give him his 1 minute.
David, go ahead.
He's got to unmute.
You have to unmute David if you want to be heard. Let's move to Rachel Tobias. She's ready.
Yeah, the packet says, unless I'm misreading it under procedure, you guys won't have any funds. It will be limited to $333 per month until the annual budget, administrative packet, and BAC have been received and accepted. You might not want to wait, I guess is my point.
That's why it's on there. It's a courtesy.
Thank you, Rachel. If we can hear from David Sindelar, try one more time, and then we'll move on.
David, go ahead if you're there. He is not unmuting. I don't know if he's there or not. Just we go on.
Okay,
so
very good.
Yeah. So as it's been mentioned, I was going to jump in, I think, when my name was brought up, but I think that has been the clear thing. We always ask everybody to submit the administrative packet, and it does do that. The city clerk will prohibit your funds to $333 if it's not submitted a month.
You also have to do an inventory.
Call to vote.
Okay, bring it to a vote, please. Or part of it. Next
Okay.
is.
This is for the
Will we bring it
administrative
for a
packet,
vote?
correct?
Yeah, yes, please. Let's go bring it for a vote.
That's what I thought. Richard
Adams, yes.
Adams, I apologize. Ryan,
Not a problem. There's two of us.
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Alex is Vicky.
Yes.
Raduca.
Yes.
Raduca? Yeah.
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Richard Niederberg?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Rick Rosner?
Yes.
Lana?
Yes.
Me, yes. Adam, absent. Joseph Fitchy?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great, thank you. Moving right along. Public safety report. Actually, we have a motion, but because that information, because the information came forward that we're actually seeking in this motion, I'm going to withdraw the motion. I'll just simply make a comment as it relates. Actually, no, I'll just I'll reserve my point. So we're going to pull back our motion for public safety. The information. So moving forward to the next item on the agenda, we have non-financial board member sponsored motions. If we can begin with, I guess it would be motion 10A. No.
So are we jumping 8 and 9 as well?
Well, sorry, the
Going
new
to
agenda that Brian had sent out actually bumped everything one item because the item number 6, which was tonight, item number 6 was public comment. That wasn't included in the first version of the agenda. So yes, for your agenda it would be 9A. It's regarding the Studio City Neighborhood Council supports sending a letter to Council Member Paul Krikorian requesting care team. It was brought by an SCNC board member. I believe that was Michael DeLazar.
Yes, and I can explain it a little bit, take a minute or two. So this is a
Can you
motion.
second it first? I moved to second.
Seconded by Richard Adams.
Thank you, Richard. So this is a motion to send a letter to the council member's office requesting care team service to the encampments listed in the letter. I would, based on a conversation this morning, I would like to amend that list to include the area behind Ralph's at Ventura. We had a number of residents complained about debris and unlawful activity in that area from renters who live adjacent to it. And I would suggest that we could maybe amend that letter to include that area as well. So that would be 3 specific areas that we're requesting the care team for SPA 2 to come out and address. This letter comes at your request. We actually talked about this a little bit at the board meeting, and I agreed to go draft something together. I sent out some drafts and I requested some anonymous input, and the board, I got feedback from some of the board members, so you may see some of your own words in this letter. It makes the case for intervention based from the care team based on 2 issues, crime and health. And I kind of built the letter around those 2 issues. I wanted to establish that there was a clear and present danger to the safety of the community. And I felt that that was the safest, the most sure way to get action from anybody within the city. The letter, we tried to pass this through the Homelessness Committee. It did not pass because, primarily because there's a request in there for additional police patrols at these encampments. And I felt that that was something that came from a board member that they felt was important to include, and I agreed. And I felt that it was best to then at that point, since it didn't get through that committee, to bring it to the board. Since this is an urgent issue and it's affecting every resident, these 2 encampments under the freeways and the Ralphs are seriously impacting our community as they continue to grow. This letter mentions a 55-person petition that was brought by another private citizen. And it's got 5,500 signatures, and that petition details the crime the community has faced in the past year or so by, in part, some of these encampments and other parts of our area. The objection by the committee that we not have police involvement I felt the answer would, the question back to that would be, if not the police, if we don't ask for increased patrols, we're not asking for sweeps, we're asking for patrols, more police cars every so often in these areas to try and deter what's going on there. And if it's not the police, who is going to take care of the lawlessness that has been witnessed there? I would suggest that this letter and the police patrols that would go through there would make it safer for both the housed people and the unhoused people at these locations. And I think it's important that we ask for this care team service as a board. All of us together united, asking the council member, we need action here. These areas are getting worse. They are unsafe, and they are not clean, and they are increasingly getting crime. There's criminal activity going on there that we're seeing. And I felt like it's our role as a board and our duty as a board to make this request of our city leaders, and that's how the letter got to where it is today before you.
Point of order and a comment.
Yes, Richard.
I believe since it's your amendments or your motion, you are allowed to adjust it as you wish, as long as you inform everybody, and I support your changes. I would also respect the request of an additional friendly amendment that you include the Coldwater underpass at 101.
Noted.
At least the one on Coldwater has porta potties.
Yeah, they got knocked over the other day.
Again, addressing the health issue.
I get it. I get it.
I believe we have some public comment actually on this. So if we can, I'm trying to, the internet in this area now, so I'm just syncing back up to my laptop for hotspot, so I can't see, but I know there's a few hands raised. I saw Andrew Silver, I believe, was the first one. So if we can give him 1 minute public comment, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Andrew, go ahead to unmute. Andrew, click your unmute and then you can talk. We can't hear you.
Oh, unmute. Okay, I've unmuted. Okay. All right. I requested 2 minutes. I'm chair of the Homelessness Committee. I was at that meeting and there's specific information I'd like to share. Can I get 2 minutes?
Just in terms of fairness for other public speakers, you'll have 1 minute, and then if there's anything else you'd like to say, you can address it when you're giving your report.
The Homelessness Committee rejected this statement due to the inclusion of a request for LAPD intervention. It was rejected because members of the Homelessness Committee have firsthand knowledge